Hello, detectives. This is a bit of a special month for us on the channel. We've been contacted to cover a series of dedicated sponsors, two actually related games from the same developer, handled by different clients, and then a special project that I will announce later in the month that will also have a sponsored video accompanying it. These videos are all videos based on titles we have covered on the Death of a Game series, which is also sort of special. This month alone will allow us to pay for the rest of the year financially, which will put us in a great position to cover even more ambitious projects and continue to do the Death of a Game series and beyond. This video sponsor, Ragnarok V Returns, help keep the lights on, and especially right now when I'm actually both writing and editing the videos. Thank you for your support and understanding in this process, and I hope you enjoy the upcoming sponsors. This video sponsor is Gravity, the developer behind a newly launched game on cross-platforms, Android and Apple devices, and of course PC, and soon to launch on the Steam platform too. Ragnarok V Returns is actually a follow-up to Ragnarok Valkyrie Uprising, which was a popular mobile game for a time. V Returns, or Valkyrie Returns, is another dive into the world of Ragnarok, the popular Korean manhwa, and the iconic pioneering MMORPG, a game that we actually covered on the Death of a Game series too, as well as one of the prequel titles on mobile devices too. This time though, this one's a far bigger and better story experience, and a new user experience alongside. Having tested other Ragnarok mobile games as I just mentioned, Returns feels like an obvious upgrade, especially in how much more massive the game feels. This video, as you know with me, is an impressions video, and I will be talking about details concerning Ragnarok V Returns, including the things that I liked and disliked the most. Stay tuned, and hopefully by the end of this video, you will know if the game is for you. Let me know in the comments below if you have played the game, or you intend on it. The beginning of Ragnarok V Returns, I have to say, I enjoyed much more than Origins. Not that I will spend much more time comparing the two games, but a big issue that I had in the game was that there was a lack of connection to the world. And sure, it was more of a prequel-style game, but Ragnarok V Returns immediately feels just more like a Ragnarok game from the start. And I mean, the game starts in Alberta, and you end up shortly after due to wanting to adventure and leaving your hometown and some other drama in Frontera, which ends up being a major hub for the game, just like in Ragnarok Online. These, of course, are iconic locations from Ragnarok Online and even from the manhwa. On top of this, you have a cohesive story. Sure, it's not the super high production in the Kojima sense, but I think that it doesn't need to be, or that people would really have that expectation for it to be anyway, considering it's a cross-platform mobile and PC title. But the story here actually tracks, and it makes sense, and it doesn't feel like a placeholder story. It is actually believable. So you end up being a refugee in this new town, where you, as a new young adventurer, have to literally get a visa or be expelled. It feels awfully relevant to current pop culture, and yet it doesn't feel like it's trying to be political or attempting to be lecturing in nature. A town full of players, by the way, with tons of player-run shops is what greeted me whenever I walked into the city. These shops are shops that you can access with diamond or zenny currencies, and these shops will sell a range of things that you can buy with those currencies, and you can even have some of these shops have passwords so you can just trade with specific players like your friends. Dungeons also exist in the game, with the ability to team up with other players for a more challenging PvE experience, where you can unlock more rare items. These dungeons even drop blueprints, which are the main material you use when crafting rare items in the game. So not only do dungeons require teamwork and skilled play, requiring you to dodge attacks and land combos, they also reward you quite nicely for actually overcoming those challenges. But really, with Ragnarok V Returns, we have a more serious attempt at being a proper online RPG, or at the very least, an actual evolution of the mobile RPG gaming space, which is quite rare. The strengths of Ragnarok V Returns, despite the UI seeming like a typical mobile RPG, is that it actually, seems like it approached the game, an idea of making the game, with an idea of improving upon the genre and the previous games in the franchise as a whole. Whether through things like I already mentioned, like the lore and world being utilized more, and feeling totally natural and not forced, but more such as how the customization seems better, as I was able to encounter many cool looking players pretty early on in the game. Ragnarok V Returns' story is an obvious upgrade from previous mobile titles, where it's interwoven into the game world and exploration of it, and your character and different things that you can interact with, such as life skills like mining, herb gathering, and of course crafting, mount riding, and even companion training. Pets can even accompany you and help you in some minor ways, but more importantly, can be ridden as a mount, yay, making movement around the map even easier, which is helpful because the scale has been largely increased. But that's a good thing because it makes the game feel more like a proper virtual world. And companions are, as they imply, trainable NPCs who can assist you in and out of battle. Ragnarok V Returns just feels like a lot more like a Ragnarok game as a whole, and that made my experience through the early part of the game that more enjoyable. Especially because it wasn't filled with too much boring grinding or scenes that I just couldn't skip. Even the early quests you are involved with are kind of more of like a greatest hits of virtual worlds than the standard of making the early quests boring just because they're the first ones. But the cons of the game, honestly, are probably predictable for you guys who've watched my other impressions on the channel, and, well, for starters, I just don't like how prevalent the cash shop is in the game. Whether avoidable or not, it feels like it's like that annoying cousin who wants you to help move because you have a truck even though you never talk. Not like I'm being like specific or anything. The game also has some classic mobile gaming features that many mobile gaming fans might be normal or find enjoyable, but I just don't like them as a more PC-focused player. And Ragnarok V Returns is a PC title too, to be fair. For example, I really dislike the auto move and autoplay features because especially they're like almost too easy to press on accident. Which is a shame for how pretty the map actually is and how much effort was put into making the game and world feel like Ragnarok and be believable. There's also like a million currencies in the game, and for someone like me who doesn't like most cash shops anyway, and also, well, and just like I'm implying, have a horrible memory, it's just a difficult experience because I can't possibly remember all of these currencies and what they're meant for, and I can't help but feel like maybe that's kind of the point. There's also level boosting in the game, which practically all virtual worlds have these days to be fair, but I dislike it anyway, and how you can get a gear set that comes with it. But these sorts of games are more designed for convenience gameplay and putting power to your bank account anyway. My last negative thing about Ragnarok V Returns is the difficulty of the game. Sure, the dungeons, from what I could tell from watching the higher level gameplay, seemed more challenging, but I found the game overly easy in my experiences early on. Now perhaps the early game was just designed that way to bring in more players, but who knows. My conclusion with Ragnarok V Returns is that if you enjoyed any of the previous mobile titles in the series, just, of course, play this one, even for just the feeling of nostalgia and a new title with new graphics. I mean, the world models in this game are nothing to scoff at either. And if you aren't into mobile games like I usually am not, at least you can still give it a whirl on PC or with the upcoming Steam launch, of course. The game is very approachable for all skill types and has plenty of callbacks to Ragnarok Online and even the manhwa in some ways. At the very least, it would serve as a nice companion game to other Ragnarok games that you have played or currently play. I'm lucky to have gotten a sponsor that's actually endemic to my market, which for those who know, is pretty rare. Being an online RPG makes it even better, even if it's a smaller scale one that's playable on mobile. It's still a virtual world, just not a supermassive one. And it's crazy that of all titles, it ended up being one of the ones that you're going to continue to see more content about following this. Ragnarok, though, the point being, isn't going anywhere anytime soon. And Ragnarok V Returns might be on the surface a typical mobile RPG, but I think that it shows clear improvement on the formula, and that led to increased enjoyment for me, at least, when I was playing the game, and maybe it will for you too. Thanks for sponsoring this video, Ragnarok V Returns, and detectives, I love you guys and thanks for the support. Until the next case, or next sponsor to make an appearance, and hopefully not later repeat one.